Hey guys, why Facebook is hard to get bookkeeping and accounting clients for 90% of people, and how to make Facebook work without being a master marketer. So, one thing that I've noticed when it comes to growing a business, a lot of people start off by trying to do Facebook, especially if you're like an accountant or bookkeeper, you're just trying to grow your business. So today I'm going to kind of break down like why it's harder than other platforms, and if you are kind of like really stuck on using Facebook, I can kind of give you some information on how to make Facebook work a little bit better. So who am I? So I started my firm in 2015. My name is Bryce Tubbs, and I had to learn marketing the hard way because I didn't really understand marketing. I didn't know how to get people interested in my services. I didn't know how to disperse a message. I didn't know what to say to get even people to even know I existed. So I had to pay a lot of money for courses because I ended up having to go back into work after about 6 months of starting. And then over the next 8 months, I basically invested in as many different types of courses, conferences, masterminds, consultants I could possibly get my hands on in order to make sure that I knew exactly what I was doing. So once you figure it out, it's not very tough to do. It took me a total of 14 months to get to about $15,000 a month in sales for bookkeeping CFO work. Now, why should you watch this video? Okay. Currently, I run a six-figure accounting and bookkeeping business, and we've helped over 315 people start and grow their business inside of our mentorship program. Now, the tips contained in this specific document use helped one of my students basically add $12,900 per month to his business. So I want to share this with you. Also, if you want some help growing your business so that you can start really living a life of freedom without having to worry about like the different struggles that cause most people to fail, go ahead and click the link out above below the video. Book a call, see if I can help you inside of one of our programs. So let's jump into this video. So there are two main areas that people struggle with when it comes to Facebook and Facebook groups. Now, lead quality and finding great groups. Now, both of these are tough because they're interlinked. Oftentimes, the better the group, the higher the lead quality because birds of a feather flock together. So, we're going to talk about how to identify those right now. So, main problems inside of Facebook groups. Inside of Facebook groups, and keep in mind there might be some typos inside of this document. I voice type when it comes to these like longer documents while I'm like out walking and stuff, just to kind of conserve some time. So sometimes I'm a little bit in a rush. I don't like get a chance to like proofread it. So I want to make sure it's raw, it's unedited, and we can make sure you get like the really the nitty-gritty details that it takes to become successful in this stuff. So sheer volume of groups. So I did a Google search and I was asking like how many Facebook groups are there actually, you know, in existence? And Google basically said there are over 10 million Facebook groups. And I used to think that was a great thing. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many groups. I'm never gonna run out of targets. I can go after the entire world. Like I'm invincible. But then I started getting overwhelmed. When I started seeing, okay, there's thousands, a thousand, a thousand, and millions of groups, I was like, oh my gosh, I it was very overwhelming. Because first it's like, okay, so which group should I join? I don't know if I can get clients from the group before I start putting my energy into it. What happens if I promote myself and then get kicked out? Like there's all these different things. And it's like the more groups that there are available, the more kind of room for overwhelm there is. So there's four main factors when it comes to this. So number one is the sheer volume of the groups. Number two is intent of the groups. Like what is the purpose of the actual group, right? They're not all created equally, right? And your purpose might be different than someone else's purpose. Like sometimes you might join a group because you're just looking for information, or you're looking for a community, or you're looking for a group. That's not always what Facebook groups are for. I think a misconception a lot of people have is they think that everything in the world kind of is similar to themselves. Because no one wants to think that they're like crazy or they're wrong, right? So most people think that everyone is just like them and the world they live in. So we kind of on social media, we kind of become an echo chamber. But when you start going to this broader market, you see there are millions and millions of different beliefs and thought processes, and it gets very, very kind of like large, right? So intent of the group, are they trying to sell something? And it's not a bad thing if they're trying to sell you something. It's just you want the group to line up with your goal. If you're not really looking to buy something, then you probably don't want to join that Facebook group where they're trying to only sell you something. Next, are they a forum? So they is it like a group of people like asking questions to each other, getting answers? Is it a niche or industry group? So maybe it's like a forum, but it's for a specific niche or a specific industry. Are they a marketplace where it's like, a bunch of people basically is just like selling back and forth, like they're listing stuff up, almost like it's like an eBay type of group? Are they a local community where it's like maybe it's like a local city and it's just inhabitants or people living in the local city? Is it a group for like moms to share tips about like parenting, right? Are they an interest or a hobby group? Maybe it's around like Lord of the Rings or around Star Wars. It's just another form, but it's for like specific interests that they have in pop culture, pop fiction type things. Okay. Again, none of these are inherently good or bad. It's just what lines up with your goals. Now, I prefer to attack forum groups, local groups, and niche based industry groups. Okay. And we just kind of touched on them lightly. I'll talk about how I attack them in a couple minutes. And I use the word attack because I like violent language. I'm not actually meaning like I'm gonna like hurt people, you know? So next is size. So I'm always thinking about varying the size versus the number of posts versus the number of comments. Okay. Larger is not always better. Okay. It's not always just about getting large numbers of things. That's one thing that took me a long time to know. I was like, if I just get a million subscribers, I'm gonna make so much money. If I get like if I get a million people watching my videos, I'm gonna make so much money. It's not always the case, right? Sometimes it's better to have a small community of 1,000 people that all love you and want to buy stuff from you than having a million people who kind of heard your name one time and never want to buy from you, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So it's not just about going after massive groups with hundreds of thousands of members, right? There are also some groups where the opposite's true. It's like they can be too small to be useful. I prefer going after groups that are like 10,000 to about 50,000 people inside of it with about 300 to 200 posts per month. And you'll see that when you're going to join a group. Like, let me, for example, I'll show you Facebook. I'm going to um, life. I was typing like a random group. ChatGPT for business and life. Okay, so this is 250,000 people. That's too many people. I'll say life. I just had them life. So let's see like life coach. Let's see. Oh, it's a public group. So that's another difference, like public versus private. I prefer going inside of private just because it's just easier for you to go and get like leads from. So let's say like Black Life Coach Connection. So I'm looking at the group, right? So this is 46 posts in the last month. That's going to be not enough posts for me to actually make a dent if I'm going to go do the commenting strategy, which we'll talk to you about in a minute. 3,300, but no new people. So it's like, it's just not really growing. That would not be a group, but that's how you can go find the numbers, right? So you're just looking for about 300 to about 2,000 comments. You're looking for between like 10,000 to 50,000 members, right? So not super, super huge groups, but yeah, just enough to be able to, really make a dent. Next thing, again, I like it. Another reason why I like this kind of size configuration is because number one, I know there's not gonna be thousands of comments, right? When there's a lot of group members, there's just gonna be way too many comments because there's just that many people that can comment on the stuff. And also, I know that there's gonna be a manageable enough number of posts me to engage with. If it's too small, then there's just I do one main comment and I'm run out of juice. But if it's like a million comments, I can't, or a million posts, I can't make a comment on all of them. So it's just like it's just too much, right? So it's just a good balance. The next thing you have to factor in and think about is spam. So the number one biggest challenge with Facebook and Facebook groups is spam. If this was like 3 or 4 years ago, you could just go chill inside of Facebook groups and get really, really, really great results. But nowadays, a lot of Facebook groups are limited with promotions and spam that cause a lot of business owners to be turned off from Facebook groups. They never go inside the Facebook group. So it's like they could have a group with like that has a lot of members, but it's just like all the posts are just spam and no one ever looks inside of it. So it's like you're not going to get much pull or much traffic, and like the sophisticated business owners are not going to go for that. So it's like you just have to really understand like what are they trying to go and do. Next thing is it doesn't make it impossible to get clients off of like the social media platforms because of the spam. It just makes it a little more challenging since there needs to be more thought that goes in and is involved with selecting the right groups. And it's just like I prefer to use like LinkedIn just because it's just easier. Like I don't have to go and like do this giant like thing of like, oh, I have to go join 1,000 groups to go find like 10 that really work, right? It's just like you just go and understand who you're picking. You can go and like message people directly, and then you can even like interact with different people's like comments. So it's much more direct. It's challenging in the beginning for a number of different reasons. But yeah, so this why like people go after Facebook is just like more like user friendly. And most time like they use it inside like their personal life. So it's just like they're just comfortable with it. Right. So plan of attack. So there's a couple of different types of Facebook groups that are for like some are for accountants and bookkeepers, let's say for example. And there are also groups that are like for different industries. So I'm generally not going to go into an accounting and bookkeeping group if I'm trying to get clients. Number one, the competitors are just too high. Number two, so it's like the only thing you're really going to get out of those is just like discouraged because it's like a bunch of people asking complicated accounting questions. And it's just like a lot of people are either like mean to them, or it's just like maybe you don't know that accounting question on top of your head. So you get like insecure. It's like, oh, I don't know that much. I don't know enough. You go down this like giant rabbit hole for 6 months where it's like you're just trying to learn stuff, even though you have an accounting background. And it's just like, why did I do that? Right? So just like I would just get out of those groups if I was you. If I'm being honest, like I would never go inside of a group like accountants or bookkeepers, right? Um, and this comes from a guy that hasn't, you know. So next are like the groups that are gonna be like industries. Another reason why it's important not to do the accountants or bookkeeper groups, because like sometimes people like potential clients will come in those groups and be like, hey, I'm looking for someone to do this work. But you see a sea of like 80 people immediately say, I'm available, I'll work for free. And it's just like the amount of like you're seeing like a commodity at that stage, right? The person has 80 options. It's like applying for a job. One job with 65 applicants in 2 days is going to have a lot more competition, and the person be a lot more selective than maybe someone that's like it's been on the job's been on the market for 3 months. It's only had like three applicants, and the applicants don't even want to like work with them, right? So it's just like you have much more choice when there's less people. So that's why I don't like going after accounting and bookkeeping groups if I'm trying to get clients. So let's talk about groups that are for industries. So within groups that are for industries, the first thing you can do is go inside and like check the magnifying glass and then search in keywords around your service. Let's say like maybe you're doing bookkeeping, right? So payroll, bookkeeping, accounting, taxes, bookkeeper, etc. Right? So I'm looking for those search terms, and what's going to return are different posts or questions or comments that have been made around those topics. Now, what I we used to do was we used to wait around and like as soon as those search terms came up, and then all the posts are like that in every single group, like I would just sit there and just like respond to them and try and get clients like that. But what I found is that if you don't respond very quickly, the other inhabitants of the group recommend their current bookkeeper or accountant. And it's really like a game of speed. So that method is not super passive because even though it's like a sniper rifle, you're literally sitting there with a sniper rifle. But you don't know if they've already been like interviewing other people, or if the post is like 3 years old, if the post is like 6 months old, like have they already talked to people? And if they have talked to people, why do they not have someone in place? So it just yeah, it's more about speed. So it's less work, but it takes more time actually monitoring the platforms. And it's just a little bit more challenging. So it's like you could join like 1,000 groups for like your target niches and then just do that methodology like once a day. Just go to like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, almost like you're doing like social listening. And yeah, I mean, you could get some good results with that. It's just I personally would not want to like set my business up like for that kind of style. It's just not what most people think it is. Next will be the comment section. So another thing you can do is interact in the comment sections of these different groups and answer questions that people might have, which will cause you to be able to open up the relationship because you've helped someone out. One misconception that people have is that the comments have to be around accounting and bookkeeping or whatever service you're selling, right? That's not true. The point of that is not to just give them like answers with accounting and bookkeeping. Like the point is to open a relationship and add some value to someone, right? Because now they kind of put a halo effect around you. So if you were able to help someone out in one area, they figure you can help them out in multiple areas. And it's not that that's necessarily true. It's just a feeling that they get, right? And in business, it's not necessarily always what the truth is. It's what people are perceiving, right? So it's like you might not be the best bookkeeper in the world, but if someone thinks that you're the best to them, that's all that matters. Cool. So I like doing it and with any aspect of business or life that you're good. So it could be like parenting, it could be something about like sports, it could be something about like let's say you know like martial arts, let's say you know something about like marketing or about sales or about hiring because maybe you have like an HR background, right? It doesn't matter as long as you can help someone out and make that connection. Then once you've done that, you just send a friend request to the person, then you can start a conversation, right? So it's very, very simple. Now, one challenge when it comes to commenting is before I make a comment, I have to see if the person's worth commenting on. If it's a person that's just getting started in business and my target market is people that are at least doing $1 million a year, I probably don't want to comment on that person's post, right? Because it's just not really going to get me the kind of results that I'm looking for. So one thing you can do is if you see a comment, you can actually go look that person up on LinkedIn. If you have LinkedIn research tools, you can be able to see how big of a company the person owns and what the company structure looks like, and then start making your comments. So that way you don't have to like just go and answer a bunch of random comments with people who are going to get on the phone with you and waste your time. Okay, so I like going back and forth, and really like utilizing the research tools on LinkedIn to really make it work. Now, interesting thing with this is that you can make a lot of money. You can make like 30, 40K from just going inside of groups and commenting on like 20 to 100 posts a day. Now, to do 100 comments, it will probably take you 4 hours. Okay. So it's not very time like efficient for most people. Okay. But it doesn't mean you have to do that volume. Like you can just do like 5 to 10 comments a day and just getting the habit of doing it and just start building that skill set over time so you don't have to send out a million in order to get like a client. And you can just start pinpointing like what are the types of comments, the types of questions that lead to people who actually want to work with you. So it's like, yeah, you could do a bunch. Like 20 comments is not that much. Someone just asked a question like, hey, where do I go to do like a bid? Or how do I evaluate this employee? Or blah 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 blah. You see the post, you go on LinkedIn with the person, you say, okay, so this person's actually relevant. You go back and answer the question. You do that 20 times. It's like it's not that hard. I don't know. Sometimes like when I make these videos online, I don't know exactly the caliber of work ethic that the person watching has. So I'm assuming that you're, someone that wants to be successful and you're willing to do what it takes to be successful. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to spend 4 hours a day doing marketing, but it means that, if you're serious about growing your business, you have to do certain steps in order to get to the level to go, right? So, I mean, if it's only 5 to 10 comments a day, you could probably do that if you really want to make money. Just Next thing that you can do is introduction posts. So I actually like doing these introduction posts inside of local groups, so local business owner groups. Now, how did I discover this? So I was in Facebook groups and I saw this person make a post which basically introduced themselves. And I saw a bunch of business owners like liking, commenting, and sharing on the post. And the person made a lot of money. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. So I was like, let me try doing this. So I basically just described my background, where I was from, why people should work with me, who I like working with. And I got some pretty similar results as well. So I started teaching other people inside like my mentorship program, like how to do it. And basically, how it works is you're basically talking about your background in a very in um a very calculated way to get people who are potentially interested in your service to raise their hand and self-identify that they actually want your service or they want to refer people to you. Now, guys, I had to come back and film this a little bit differently. Ran out of time the last day, so I want to kind of jump into things. So introduction posts, I think we kind of covered pretty quickly. So what to expect from them is anytime that you make an introduction post, a good introduction post is generally going to come inside of the market and put a pretty good stir inside of the market. So you should be seeing between like 5 to 10 people liking, commenting, or even sharing your posts. And generally, out of those, you should be getting a good number of either like conversation starters that can turn to clients. Now, I I like having a mixture of those posts getting people who are going to buy from me as well as people that are going to refer people to me, right? Because if you go after referrals, you get more of a long tail effect, meaning that like one unit of time or one unit of energy can lead to multiple clients, and it's just more efficient use of your time, especially when you're working a job, right? You might not have 50,000 hours a week to devote to marketing, devote to sales. So by learning how to leverage your time better, it generally works a little bit easier. So some pitfalls of them. If you are so these generally work if the location that you're targeting has resonance with your story. So let's say that you are in like a group and like it's like a location of India and you are a person that maybe you come from a background that's totally opposite of India. It's not going to resonate that much. So you're trying to find locations that have like you can almost be like the poster child of where it's like everyone's similar to you, where it's like your life story is very basically their life story because introduction posts work based off of people seeing themselves and their story inside of yours. So you're always looking for like, where do I belong? Where are my people? Where do I kind of fit in? Which I mean, if you grew up in a place where you never fit in, that's okay. You can just keep finding different local groups until you do find a group of people that kind of resonate with you and your story. Next thing are value posts. How did I discover these? Um, I discovered these. It cost me about $13,000 to learn these. So like I did a course where it taught me how to like do like writing, right? That cost me about $5,000. And I did another course that was about $7,800. It taught me how to write on my Facebook profile. Then I did another course that taught me to go inside of Facebook groups and like to take the stuff from my Facebook profile and post it inside of the groups, right? So 5,000, 7,000. The last one was 7,800. So what was that? 14.8 plus 5, 7 plus 5, 12. So about $22,800 to learn this thing that I'm giving free away to you for free on this YouTube channel. So I discovered just from trial and error, from joining courses and just like seeing what works and what doesn't. Now, basically, a value post is a long post where you're basically educating the people reading the post about how to do a certain thing. Now, it's designed that it's long enough to where only people that finish it are going to be serious about getting help with what you help people with, and they're going to be people that actually have like a really like interest in learning this stuff. It's really just to kind of get people to self-identify and show that they're interested in this thing. Like people are gonna like and share the post. You're not gonna get a lot of comments in a lot of cases, but maybe they'll say like good post, thank you, I appreciated this. So it's a lower volume of responses, but the people that respond are way, way, way higher quality. And basically how it works is like you can really give a long post about anything you're an expert in that will help the person reading it grow something in their business or in their life if you're doing like personal taxes. Like I'm gonna assume you're just doing business stuff. So you're doing like business bookkeeping, CFO, tax strategy, tax planning. Something that the average person wouldn't know, or that maybe someone who's like a little bit more sophisticated in business would know, and just give them a different perspective on it, like how it works, why it works, and like this. Like this post right here, this is a value post. Like this Google document, I would buff out these last two sections, intro post and like the value post with like what I'm saying now. And then I would like post those inside different groups. And like those will make you a lot of money if you're actually saying something that's valuable. Now, the downfall of them is that if you're not really adding that much value, they don't really do that much. Now, if you're just getting started and you've never talked to a business owner, I probably would not start with value posts. Just just because like maybe you don't know what they find valuable. But the more that you talk to people, the more that you do these other stuff, which like commenting, or going inside of like the magnifying glass approach, or just getting people like from other marketing channels, then it works better. So I probably would not start using Facebook. I'd probably start using like LinkedIn or our partnership method. Then as you get more and more clients, you can then turn Facebook into more of like a money printing machine where you have like, we'll say you make like one of these long posts a week. It takes you like 30 minutes to do that. You post in the group and you get like one or two clients from it, right? And then like every single time you want to go and get more clients, you just make a deeper and deeper post and you go and put it in and send it out, right? So, but it's not like generally the value post method is not necessarily a beginner one unless you have some sort of transferable skill or some sort of experience in something else. So it could be something about like sports. Let's say that you're going to be adding value about like, maybe a business owner group, but it's like around like maybe a popular event or a popular meme that they kind of have, or some sort of like for example, you could do something about like job costing for construction, right? You could do something about like how to hire employees for construction. Let's say you maybe have like an HR background. You could see how construction owners can maybe like do add e-commerce to their business. You can talk about personal skills that maybe you learn in your job. Like it doesn't really matter, but it's something that they maybe have not heard before. If they have heard before, it's a different angle or different perspective. And if you get good at that, like it's very, 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 very strategically placed. Okay, so these are different ways that you can go and attack the Facebook groups and like why it's so hard for most people who are just getting started to go and get clients on Facebook and using Facebook groups. Okay, so hopefully you learned something new. If you want some help growing your business, maybe it's just like taking a little bit more time than what you're expecting in order to be able to, grow and get to where you want to go. I just encourage you to go ahead and click the link inside the description, book a call with myself or a member of my team to see if we can help you inside of our program. Okay, it's not for everybody, but If it's the person who it is for and you're that person, then it works very, very well. I think I might release a coaching call on this channel. I had a student who joined it 2 weeks ago. He got a $36,000 cleanup as well as a $2,000 per month client. And he also got another cleanup that was using a campaign reactivation sequence. But the whole point of this is like it doesn't have to take long to go and reach your goals. Okay. It's all about like right now we're in the middle of like the busy season. We're in the beginning of if you're beginning of tax season, but if you're doing accounting and bookkeeping, you've been having cleanup since the beginning of the year. So we're kind of in the middle of that period. So if you want some help, while it's still easy to get clients this year, right? When everybody who's in the accounting field has superpowers, if you're having trouble getting clients right now and it's the hottest time of the year, you probably need a strategy because it's only going to get harder and harder as the year goes on. Right. So if you want that, if you want to be able to go and have a proven strategy, proven process to be able to go and reach your business goals, so you can maybe you can leave your job. Maybe you can spend more time with your kids. Maybe you can go and, take those trips and go on the vacations without having to go and check in with someone. If that's you and you just want that peace in your life, go ahead and click the link inside the description, book a call. We'll talk soon. And also, if money's a little bit tight, like that's okay. Depending on the situation, we do have outside like funding partners where basically they take a look at your financial situation and they kind of see if they can break the program price into a payment plan anywhere between like 3 months to like 12 months, right? But it does kind of based on your credit score. So like if your credit score is not above at least a 650, then maybe you're better off watching like these videos. But if money's a little bit tight, but you do have like a pretty strong credit profile, go ahead and click the link, book the call, let's see if it's a good fit. Okay. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Take it easy.